Dear brothers, it's about quality, not quantity.
So guys, it should be your conversation where you flow your presence is enough for a woman to want to be around you, not how much money you spend.
Dear sisters, it's about knowing your value.
My sisters out there, don't be afraid to scare a guy off just because you have standards.
Dear brothers, dear sisters, it's time to come together.
Hey, welcome to another edition of DBDS Live. I'm your host, Mel Money, and I'm here with my brother Carl. As you can see, I got the DBDS mask on. Let me just take this off for a quick second. Oh, man. How you feeling today, my brother?
Man, I've been on the road, bro, for the last week. from North Carolina to Maryland to Virginia to New Hampshire to Pennsylvania, back to New Hampshire to Massachusetts to Virginia again, and now I'm in Georgia.
And you've been out on the road, man. Just take your time. Don't burn yourself out. But it's good that you're being productive and you're holding things down, handling your business. So I greatly appreciate that, my man.
I appreciate it.
Yes.
I tell people ownership has its perks, but when you start it off, you got to put the work in.
You have to, just like anything, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Special shout out to my brother Cecil, who just came into the studio. Appreciate that. So listen, before we get tuned with our show, I just have a few announcements we'd like to touch on. And the very first few announcement that I want to hit on, I would like to give a special shout out to my sister Ruth Lilly, who won that DBDS contest a few weeks ago. You know, she won that the gift card. She won the copy of Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up. We're going to have plenty of other incentives, so don't you worry about that. Also, my second announcement is very huge. Now, you better mark your calendar because on Sunday, November 21st at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, this will be our second DBDS Queen Takeover show. And I'm just pretty excited about our sisters that's going to come on. And that show's going to be fire. If you did not see the first one, make sure you go to our DBDS live channel and you can watch Gianni, Mika, Tanisha, Natima, Ivy, all of these sisters just breaking down some great nuggets. And by the way, these are great, classy, feminine women. I mean, what you thought, man, I can't even speak, man. I'm still replaying that episode over and over again. What you thought about that episode?
Oh, it was phenomenal. Like I said, I had my notepad and you know, I know for some men they might say, oh man, we got all these women going to be on there. It's going to be a whole bash session, but it really was wealth, a ton of wealth and knowledge that came out of that. You know, I tell you know, like I said, we can play it over and over. If you haven't seen it, you can go to YouTube to check it out, or one of our podcast network to get it and see it. But it's phenomenal. It really was. I tell you, it was 2 hours and it flew by, but the nuggets that they dropped, and I love sisters who are naturally feminine and naturally accountable. And these sisters are married, so it's not like they, you know, what do they call them? Pick me. You know, they're not out there doing they're not doing pick me post. They got their man and their husbands are happy at home and they're trying, you know, but they talked about what it took. I'm telling you, if you ain't watched it, you got to go back and watch it. The biggest thing I took from it was they knew that they needed to do some work, and they were willing to put the work in to have the healthy, happy relationships that they're in now, and they're happy that they made those adjustments. That's the biggest thing I took from that. You know, one of the biggest things I took from that show. But I'm looking forward to Sunday, next week's Sunday show, because it's gonna be fire.
Yes, I am. Yes, indeed. So shout out to Mika. You know, sorry for the personal loss for my sister Gianni. You know, she just had a personal loss, but shout out to all my DBDS sisters. Also, my third announcement and final announcement. Listen, if you want to invest more in yourself, then make sure you go to our website, dearbrothersdearsisters.com, where our site is officially dedicated to maintaining, sustaining, obtaining a healthy monogamous relationships. So listen, if you want some good advice or if you need some guidance, Carl and myself, we do coaching sessions at a reasonable price. If you want to learn more about how to become a better version of yourself. We offer courses at the same time. And there's also plenty of resources. You got the Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, Listen Up book. Reading is fundamental. This can help you have a great relationship. So it's just a lot of different jewels up there that can just change the trajectory of your way of thinking if you want to invest more in yourself. Any comments you have about the site, my brother?
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's there to, it's like I said, even if you don't want a relationship, it's there to make you a better person. Sometimes we've got to become what we want to attract. And sometimes people say when you're not looking is when you find somebody. So just imagine being healthy and whole because you did the work. And I mean, there's tons of videos on there to look at with all that stuff to help you in different areas of healing, understanding, accountability, the whole list. But just imagine being in that position and you're not looking and that person finds you. Or you find that person. I like to go both ways. A man should find her, a woman, and a woman should be found. But just imagine that because your work is done and now you got this healthy, beautiful relationship. So definitely check out the website.
But here's the thing, man, and this is like that kinetic energy. My sisters out there, listen, if you want a healthy relationship, you have to be a wife first in order to be found. I just want to make that clear. If you have that energy already, your Prince Akeem from Coming to America will find you. Trust me.
Yes, he will.
Man,
at
what was the sister name at McDowell? Oh, damn.
At McDowell.
Well, it just goes to show no matter where you at, whether it's McDowell or whether it's, at a jazz event, whatever the case may be, Prince Akeem will find you, So
yes.
Anyway, man, we're going to go ahead and get into this show, man. So today's show is titled Time is Non-Refundable. And I mean, Carl, we talk about it a lot. You can get money back. You can get your job back if you get laid off or something of that nature. But one thing is time, you cannot get it back, especially if you're in a wrong relationship. What you think of this topic today?
It's going to be phenomenal. I'm gonna keep my nuggets to us when we roll through the show. But
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's definitely you can't get it back. I mean, and you have to use your time wisely, and that's in everything that we do, and that counts in a relationship. So, but yeah, this is going to be definitely a good topic to talk about tonight because I think some people quit too soon because they don't want to put the work in. But I also believe there's some people who have stayed around for something, hoping it would change, and it's been communicated that person's not going to change. So now you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and that's the sad case. And you could be passing up Mr. Right, but you're dealing with Mr. or Mrs. Wrong. It happens a lot. So that's what we're going to hit on today. So with that being said, it is time to bring our amazing guest into the studio. So I'm really excited. The first one to join, and listen, this is her first time on DBDS Live, and we're really excited to have her because she has the wisdom. I reached out to her because she is very positive, very laid back, feminine. Welcome, my sister Daniece, to DBDS Live.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on, my sister, to bless us with your knowledge. Yes. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and why you're on the show today.
Sure. My name is Daniece Gilbert. I'm so happy to be here today. I am from West Palm Beach, Florida. I am a transformational coach, and I do deal with usually young ladies who are moving into that adulthood and that have come from like dysfunctional families and things of that nature. So if you know anybody or any young ladies that need that transformation, feel free to reach out to me. Daniece Gilbert on Facebook. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that. And please reach out to her. She is doing amazing work out there to help our sisters to become queens and to lead them in the right direction. Appreciate you coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my sister. Now, next coming into the DBDS Live studio, this sister, she loves to give back. And, I would say she leads by example of collaborating with other amazing women. And I had the pleasure to be on her show in which she was on, I was honored to be on the show just to break things down from a male's perspective. So welcome back, my sister Chaniera, to DBDS Live.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for the return. I truly appreciate this platform. It's definitely turned into a family.
Oh yes, the only thing we're missing is barbecue, right?
Right.
So yeah, we gotta get the barbecue. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you from, and why you on the show today.
Yes. So again, my name is Chaniera. During the day, I work in the healthcare field. And on my spare time, I do have a podcast as well. It's called Uncommon Women. So we uplift, edify, and educate women. Men is more than welcome to join in as well. But we have a platform that strips your identity so that you can walk into your greatness of individuality. And you're more than welcome to tune into that. And I have a 13-year-old boy that is phenomenal. So I am a single mother as well.
Okay. Well, listen, glad to have you back on. Please make sure you follow her. Subscribe to her channel. She has amazing guests, great insight. Thank you for returning, my sister.
Absolutely.
Yes. And next, coming into the DBDS Live studio, she is actually a DBDS moderator. She is part of the DBDS group in which she gives incredible advice and shares her experience to help others. I am talking about my sister, Cameryn. Welcome back to DBDS Live. Oh, muted.
Yeah, great.
There you go.
Yeah, this is my first time on. Good evening, everyone. Hey, Mel. Hey, Carl. Welcome, Daniece.
Thank you.
And welcome, Chaniera.
Hey, yeah.
Yes. Love it. So we have some new viewers coming in watching. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you from, and why you're on the show today.
All right. So, everyone who lives in the metro area of Atlanta says they're from Atlanta, but seriously, like on my birth certificate, it does say Atlanta, Georgia. But I'm an author now, as well as a blogger of datingnonos.com, KNOW, not NONO. So basically, just through my research as well as my personal experience, I blog about all things relationship wise, but most importantly, the relationship that we have with ourselves, because, that is the starting point for everything. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But it's such a pleasure to be back on this tonight.
Yes, absolutely. And listen, before we even get into the topic, I'm just everyone is amped. You guys got the crowd hype. First comment here.
Said who was that? Was from? I was trying to see who that was from. Anita. Hey, gentlemen. Good evening.
Hello, Anita. Hello. A lot of hellos here.
And that's from Naomi with the hand clap.
The hand clap. Hello.
And from the missus, your wife, April. Hello.
Hello, baby. Know you're watching the show. Hello, everyone. Okay.
And that's from Flo. Yep, Flo. Hello, everyone.
Appreciate that, Flo. Just gonna try to get as much as we can before we jump in.
And Flo said time is non-refundable for sure. True.
All right. Our sister Ruth who won the contest.
Yeah, Ruth said hola.
And I'll take one more for now. Okay.
And welcome. Glad to have you, Daniece.
All right. Actually, promise you one more.
welcome, Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, perfect. So listen, I believe this is a great topic to discuss because a lot of people are in certain situations where, the red flags are flashing, but, they're on that fence on whether they should continue to emotionally invest in a relationship that's really not going anywhere. And I feel like today's show is primarily focused on the emotional threshold or that cap where it's not going to go anywhere. And that simply means that you either exhausted all of your resources or have communicated countless times with your partner, but yet your values are not aligned. Now, normally we do a DBDS Anonymous section, but we're just going to jump right in. So the first topic that we're going to touch on, which I feel like you may be wasting your time in a relationship, is your partner develops bad habits with disregard for you. man, you see this brother, he was partying like it's 1999. All right, so let me go ahead and size this up here. So my thing is that, it could be drugs, it could be smoking, drinking, or constantly spending your money you don't have, or it could be anything that strains your relationship, which makes it very chaotic. I feel like a true healthy relationship brings you peace. And if your partner loves you, they will sacrifice these habits and be inspired to improve themselves for the better and not in the opposite direction. So if they put in all this before you, like I stated, the drugs and the money and everything else, then that's a sign that you're wasting your time in a dysfunctional relationship. All right. So first I'm coming to my sister Daniece. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Well, I definitely believe that you should, have open communication when discussing these things. Make sure it's on a good day. Make sure they're in a good mood, and you make sure you're in a good mood, and just come with, having an open communication, letting them know how you feel and how it affects you both. And hopefully they'll be open to it and work with them. Just try to be very positive, I believe, about it. Now, if they don't want to make those changes, they're not making any effort to make those changes, but be forgiving and work with them, especially if it's a habit. If it's a habit, it's something that may take time to move, but you should see some steps moving forward, progress to making those steps. So if they love you, I think if it's something that's hurting you and bothering you, and you come in a great positive energy and everything, I think they'll hear you out and hopefully make those steps to be, to being better, to stopping those habits. But you definitely don't want to, deal with somebody who's continuously, like you said, drugs and all of those things. That requires serious help. So I wouldn't take, their word for it on saying, oh, I'm just going to be able to get off drugs or alcoholism or something of that sort. They need to probably go see somebody on a serious note. And I think that's something that our people, we like to overlook therapy and, all of those things. And we need to go seek serious help sometimes. So don't be afraid to get that extra help if needed. So.
Okay. Very well said. Listen, very well said. It's almost as if like seeking counseling or therapy is taboo in our community. And we have to just start reversing that trend, because if you're putting unhealthy habits like drugs and alcohol and everything besides before the relationship itself, then it is going to put a lot of strain. It's going to make it very dysfunctional, so very well said. Coming to my sister Chaniera, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Yes, I totally agree with everything that Daniece said. Open communication and relationship is very important. I do believe during that time, either when finding out or with your partner, discussing that they do have a bad habit, that you have patience with them, depending on how severe the issue is. And with patience, it comes with action. Any addiction is not something easily that can just turn on a switch and be fixed. So you definitely have to have some patience with them. And you also have to have the why. Why did you start this? Why did you keep this from me? How long has it been happening? And try to guide them through how to move past it. If you're married, a respect point of why they weren't able to speak to you on about it. Or if you're just in a long relationship, because then you have to make the choice of if they aren't able to get over the bad habit, and it's something that's messing up, whether it's your reputation or your family or a connection between you and your partner, that is a choice that you have to make between the relationship if you're going to stay into it. So I think open communication is important, having patience, and then also action when they bring it upon you that they have a bad habit.
Okay. That's my people. If you're watching this show, if you're in this sort of relationship and you don't know what to turn to, I think Chaniera hit it on point. You have to pay attention to the actions. If they're not doing anything to non-verbally push themselves in the right direction to help themselves, I mean, it may be time to reevaluate the relationship. I'm coming to my sister Cameryn. What are your thoughts on this topic?
I definitely feel that Daniece and Chaniera hit on some serious points, especially the therapy. You all know that I am an advocate, strong advocate for not relying on family and friends to give you the counseling that only a trained and professional therapist can do. So, like Chaniera said, when it comes to an addiction, that's a whole nother ball game. And unless you are trained in that field, that's not something you even want to attempt to try to quote unquote fix for someone. Definitely guiding them, especially, depending on the level and I guess the amount of time you've been in that relationship. But if these bad habits are in essence becoming the girlfriend and over you, then I think it's, like you said, it's probably time to start really taking a hard look and assessing, is this really the relationship that I need to be in right now? That's not to say down the road things could change, but for right now, this is a sinking ship and I don't want to drown.
Okay. Whew. Yeah, that's the point. You don't want to drown, because some people, it's okay. See, from my perspective, you could be there as a friend. It don't have to be on a romantic level. You could be an emotional partner to be there with them and try to motivate them to get therapy. But on a romantic sense, you may be hurting yourself in the long run in a way. What about you, Carl? From a man's perspective, what are your insights on this?
First of all, I agree with everything my sister said on here, the three of them. And as a male advocate for getting counseling, it's nothing therapy. There's nothing wrong with it. I know for men, it's sometimes we're looked down upon for taking those steps as being weak or not being, just a number of different words. I'm not even going to get into them, but it's trust me, we're doing a disservice to ourselves. We're doing a disservice to our families. We're doing a disservice to our children by not getting counseling and going through therapy. I went through it when I went through my divorce, and I wouldn't be the place I am today if I didn't. But I want to come from a different angle on the bad habits. And I know what you guys talked about, but you got other bad habits that happen. They stop responding to your messages, and you're waiting to see if they're okay. They don't return a phone call, and they got you waiting, or you make plans and they say they're going to meet you and you're there at that place, and now they show up an hour late with no excuse, and just, they just start abusing your time, because they feel like, oh, I can just do this. Those are bad habits that can affect the relationship, or they're not communicating with you, when you can tell something's off. Now they're showing something. Now it's like, to me, is it a bad habit, or is who they truly are? Did you meet their representative and now you're seeing the mask off? So those are things that we have to think about too. But those, but if you think about it, if you send a text and they respond back in 5-10 minutes normally, and now it's 45 minutes to an hour, naturally most people, if you care about somebody, you start to wonder, are they okay?
Right.
Is something wrong? Or you're used to them calling you when they get home and saying, hey, I made it home safely after an evening out, and now that you're not getting that, and now you go all night, or you leave a message and don't hear anything. Those are bad habits, and those are things that I believe some people start to do, and they take advantage of a situation when they feel like, oh, I got them. So now they develop a bad habit that really just truly disregards you. They care, but they really don't care how you feel or how it's affecting you. I'll say it this way: they don't care maybe how it's affecting you in that situation. So it's like, oh, where a guy may be like, oh, he doesn't look at another woman. Now he's walking down the mall holding your hand. He's turning his head all the way around looking and stuff. Those are bad habits. I I don't think get discussed. You know, people say, well, that may be bad habit. No, it's a bad habit. You know, is it really who you were, or is it something you're developing now because you're comfortable with me? Is it something that, you know, with her or with him? Yeah, are you comfortable now? So now you feel like you can just do whatever. You know, now you just decide to say, you know, let me see what can happen. Let me see what I can do. You know, so just another angle. I definitely agree. Like I said, the drugs and alcohol, somebody definitely needs to check in somewhere with that. But people can waste somebody's time by saying, hey, you know, we talk every day. Now I don't hear from you, but every, you know, once a month, you know, or something like that. Now you're trying to figure out where you guys stand. So I can't get that time back that you gave, that you played with a representative for 60 days, 90 days. You know, now I got to now I'm dealing with the real person. So now I got to start over from scratch again.
Yeah, I mean, very well said. I mean, all those little different scenarios that you mentioned, those can chip away at the time that you can't get back. So, you know, normally this is why I tell people when they get to know someone, I think it's up to us to figure out what their agenda is, because everyone will put their best foot forward. You know, I truly believe that you can't just rely on them to tell you who they are. You have to be able to take, you know, look non-verbally how they respond to you, and verbally how they talk with you, and the associates they hang out with. Like, this is your agenda to really figure out who they truly are. So I do have one more thing that I'm going to come before we come back to you, Carl. And actually, I'll come back to you, Carl. I do have a follow-up question, then you can piggyback off this, and I'll ask the panelists. But do you think the longer you stick around and show them you love them on a consistent basis, that someone will eventually change their unhealthy behavior? Like, if a sister was with you and she was an alcoholic or she was addicted to drugs, do you think just, hey, I'm going to continue to pour my all into her, and eventually she'll turn around?
No. That is an individual's responsibility. You can love and support somebody all you want, but if they're unwilling, it's like, you know, you tell somebody they're an addict. Oh no, I'm not addicted. I'm not addicted to porn. I'm not addicted to drugs. I'm not addicted to alcohol. But if I went to your history on your computer, there's 90 hours in a week you were on a porn site. I don't have an issue. You know, or I can track you and go to the ABC store and see that you're spending $200 a week on liquor, but you say you ain't got an alcohol problem, but you can't pay your light bill. Gotcha. Until they realize that they have an addiction and admit, you know, that's the first step that they say when you're going through, you know, different addiction, different classes like that, is you have to admit that you have a problem. So when you admit, I've got a problem, you know, it's like a sex addict. The same thing with them. They have to admit that they have a sexual addiction and admit that. And until somebody's willing to do that, I don't care how much somebody loves them, is holding their hand, telling them what to do. What they say, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't make them drink. That's the same thing with that. So no, I definitely don't think that would happen. And just to piggyback on what we were saying earlier, you brought up something, you know, when you're dealing with people and how much time you're doing this stuff. Yeah, that's why I'm an advocate for the application. I'm an advocate for a boyfriend girlfriend application and a resume. I really feel like, because see, here's the deal. Hey, if you put that in black and white, now I can hold this back up and say, well, Cameryn, you said you like to do this and you don't like to do that. And you want to, if you put that in black and white,
the dating application.
Yeah. So now the application, you got the resume. You got to, because to me, relationship is a job. So you should be applying for it. So, I mean, that was just my take on that. I just look at it from that standpoint. I know a lot of people say, I don't want to do that. But if you got something in black and white, you know, people may think twice about putting false information down. I mean, people lie, but now you got it to hold them accountable to.
Okay. I like that, brother. I like that. Sister's thoughts on that too. But I'll come to my sister Daniece. I mean, do you agree with Carl's assessment that, you know, if someone sticks around to show them, hey, I'm going to continue to show how much I love you, that eventually they'll change their unhealthy behavior? Excuse me.
I definitely agree with Carl. a person has to do the inner work on themselves. They have to decide that they want to change. They have to decide that they want to do make that change. So until they admit to themselves where they are and seek that help and actually make the steps toward doing so, there's honestly nothing you can do. I mean, you can love them to the end of the moon. I mean, only God loves unconditionally, but there's nothing you could do. I mean, they have to decide, in my opinion. So I definitely agree with Carl on that.
Okay. And another question for you, Daniece. What about the dating application?
Oh, I'm not signing nothing, Carl. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to. Carl, I'm not putting my John Hancock on nothing. You want the Social Security too? Oh no, I'm not.
Okay, my sister. I think it's actually a good idea in a way. But okay, I'm coming to my sister Chaniera. Do you think that you can try to show, maybe if you lead by example, cannot change a person's unhealthy habits? Maybe,
You can. I mean, love is definitely not enough,
Okay.
Like I said, it's all about action. Even if I was to help them or guide them or provide the tools, they have to do it within their self. If it's not happening within their self, the foundation is not going to be solid. And with any bad habit, for any solid foundation, it comes within yourself. No one else can do it but you.
Okay. And we have a comment right here about make that change. I mean,
Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, make that change. Yep, from Flo.
Okay, thank you for that comment, Flo. Same question, Cameryn. Can you eventually convince someone to change if you keep on showing, hey, I'm there for you, I love you? Do you think that works in some situations, or?
So here's my take on that.
Okay.
I feel like when a relationship has reached that point, it's literally like the time is ticking. The clock is ticking. If let's say the good person, the one who wants to lead by example, wants to, stay in it, they have to be very clear about why they're staying in it.
Okay, gotcha.
Because you can definitely love someone and support them from afar. Like you said, you don't have to necessarily be connected with them romantically in order to do that. And like Chaniera said, love isn't enough, and at that point, love for self is going to have to take over with both individuals.
Gotcha. Okay.
The one who has the habits that are imposing on the other one, and the other one's saying, hey, I've noticed X, Y, and Z, or it makes me feel like X, Y, and Z when you do such and such. Like, those are like, they're not red flags. They're like, hey, these are my boundaries, and you're impending on them, and this is where I am with that. I still love you. I care about you. Let's move forward. I voiced my, my concerns about these things, but in the back of their mind, it's like, all right, I'm looking at the behavior at this point. Like, you can talk until the cows come home, but I'm looking at behavior at this point.
Okay. Very well. Great response from all the panel. I bring this up, and this is something that could be a show within itself, but there's some people that will try to use, oh man, a ride or die chick or a ride or die man. You don't really love me because you're not really riding or dying with me, even though I'm going through this addiction. So I'm coming to you, Carl. What do you say to people that think that way, like ride or die mentality?
I ain't dying.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say it this way. I'm gonna ride with you.
Okay.
I'm gonna ride with you, but I'm not gonna. You're not going to be the death of me. I'll leave it that way. I mean, I'm like this. I'm an old school guy. If I'm with somebody I care about and love, I'm gonna take a bullet for her. That's different.
Okay.
but I'll ride with you. But there's going to be a certain point in time I'm going to get off the A train, and I'm going to have to do something different. But because I'm not going to let you be the death of me. I can't do that.
Okay. Same question back to you, Daniece. I mean, I hear a lot of people I talk to state like they don't truly love me if they're not there for me during my addiction. Sometimes they use that as an excuse. They're not trying to fix themselves, but they expect to have that ride or die person next to them at all times. What do you say to people that have that mindset?
I'm like, Carl, I'm definitely not, I'm not drowning with you. I'm not dying with you. Okay. Both of us can't, be sinking. I can't help you. I can't help you swim. Sometimes, I think, and not even to get biblical, but sometimes we try to play God in people's life, and we try to be the therapist. We try to do and be all of these things when we don't have the capacity ourselves to give and be that for people. So you don't want to place yourself in a space to where you're going down trying to help someone else. I don't believe God placed us here to be that for anybody, and if he did, he will give you the tools to do so. And where you won't be sinking, so that's my opinion. I don't think you should be drowning or dying for anybody. To me, that's not love. That's not love. I don't know, because if you love me, why would you want me to drown too? Like if we were, like Titanic, he put old girl on the door, you know what I mean? Like, Rose, you get up there, and I'm in the water. So if you wouldn't want both of us to go to jail or both of us to drown or both of us to die. You just wouldn't want it, so, make sure whoever you're trying to ride or die for gonna do the same for you, because that's usually not the case.
Man, okay. Dropping fire today. Same thing, Chaniera, I come to you. I mean, that's such a myth in our community, the ride or die concept. Do you agree? Do you think that's enabling somebody's behavior by riding and dying with them, which we normally say, even though they're going through this unhealthy journey?
Yeah, I agree with both of the panelists, especially Carl. But I just feel as though that's just them deflecting their situation, not being accountable. And if they was to say that, well, you don't love me, I do love you, because I'm providing the support that you need. I do love you because I'm here trying to help you get through it. I do love you, guiding you to get better. So like it goes back to the communication and the respect for the relationship. And when you respect each other for the relationship and are able to be well balanced and remove the bad habits, that's showing that you love them. But if it's draining you and it's not adding to the relationship, it got to go.
And Cameryn, I know you being a huge advocate for seeking help. I mean, that whole ride or die myth, I've been hearing that ever since growing up, because some people will sacrifice the quantity with someone instead of the quality of with someone. So what are your thoughts on that ride or die mentality?
Yeah, I think ride or die is being grossly confused with supporting someone, having their back.
The difference.
Yeah, there's a difference. Riding or dying, you ride or die, like, what today feels that is, that's not the bag, y'all. That's codependency. That is not love. That is not support. That is not growing you. That is not nurturing. That mindset. So, I agree with everyone. Basically, it's like, I will support you. I will have your back. But, in the process, I'm not going to lose myself doing that. Like, you're going to have to rise up to the occasion more than me. I'm only going to give what you're willing to give at that point.
Exactly.
Man, okay. So listen, with that being said, thank you so much for the answers from everyone. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about, hey, listen, this is DBDS Live, and we're going to continue to speak on this great topic of time is non-refundable. Sit tight.
So many people are calling for police reform. And so because they're calling for police reform, they may not understand that there are many organizations who are already responding.
And I feel like you have to really get to know people, see if they share the same core values as you before you get involved with them.
I want to ask a question as to how we got to this place right here, where mask wearing, where COVID-19, where public health is all politicized. I really want you all to think about this. How did we get to this particular point?
It's really a nice balance when femininity and masculinity can mix together and just create this awesome, experience.
All right, welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm here with my sister Chaniera, my sister Cameryn, my sister Daniece, and my brother Carl, who said he ain't dying. And listen, the show has been phenomenal. We've been dropping some some gems on time is non-refundable. You have to pay attention, identify what is it that you may be wasting your time with the wrong person. So before we dive into our second topic, we have Carl's mother about to drop a bomb for us. Here she goes.
She said, "Hi, everyone. If I love you enough to help you with your addiction, please love me enough to want to make the change and get better. If not, step off."
Ooh, man, okay. Mama says step off, man. Man, okay, that's what I like to hear. But she's speaking facts, and you have to really reevaluate the relationship. So we're going to go ahead and continue to flow. So the next subtopic that we're going to touch on that we feel that you may be wasting your time is there is no motivation to change for the better. So let me go ahead and cue this up right here. So my thing is that part on what makes a relationship successful is that both individuals, I feel like, inspire each other to be better. That's what makes a relationship to grow. But if there's no emotional support or you accept their bad habits, then the relationship will become complacent and, trust me, lackluster. So from my perspective, you are wasting your time with someone if you continue to be in this particular relationship. All right. So first, I'm coming to my sister Chaniera. What are your thoughts on this particular topic?
I agree. No motivation to change. I feel like as human beings, we should be revolving daily, within yourself, on your own goals, and then within your relationships. I feel as though, we have those people that say, well, this is just who I am, and it's like, if that is who you are, is it bringing out the peace in who you are, or is it sabotaging you and other relationships? And that comes a time where if you do have a partner and there's no motivation to change, you gotta be blunt. And when you're talking to them and being communicate, like, look, you gotta communicate basically, like, this is what it is. This is how I feel about the situation. And this is what I'm expecting from you and what we can do to move forward. And if there's no change, then you have to make a decision that's best for you and the relationship. So I feel like when there's no ambition and there's no change, again, that can drain you in other ways as well.
Yes. Yes, completely drain you. Absolutely. I mean, we discussed this sometime last week when I stated, when people take me as I am, but what if you as a person is not open-minded? What if you as a person have this narcissistic view on everything, or deflect or project? When you say take me as I am, and that's just you, and you're not looking at ways to change within yourself to become a better person, the relationship is going to fail. I'm sorry. And you're definitely wasting your time with someone like that. Coming to my sister Cameryn, what are your thoughts on this particular topic?
Uh, so, what really came to mind is I forgot the name of the movie, but it was a movie back in like the early 2000s where it showed different couples. And one of the couples, Gabrielle Union, was the girlfriend, the
Okay.
long-term girlfriend. We're living together. And he was like, he was a man boy, played video games and had very, in her eyes, immature ways about himself.
Okay.
And in their circle of friends, everybody to a certain degree was leveling up in life, getting married, buying houses, having children. And, she's looking at him feeling like, we're kind of stuck still in college, like a college mentality. So that relationship definitely, played out where, there was there were barriers, and it literally got to the point where, they wanted different things at that point in time in the relationship. And what did she do? She left. She made it clear, hey, we're such and such years old. Like, it's kind of time to put child's things away and think about the future. Like, where are we going with this? And he was completely comfortable being where he was. She was not. So she gave him some time. He didn't flow where she was wanting to flow. And so she just left. But eventually he had that time apart from her and was like, stuff set in. He was like, oh, wow, maybe I do need to change. But he had the motivation to change. You see how that worked?
Okay, my sister. Whew. I think I know what movie you're talking about as well. I have to do my research on it. But yes, I mean, when you don't have the motivation to change for the better, sometimes that does cause it to grow apart. And, it's something that happens, But if you're stagnant and you're stuck in neutral, not trying, whatever it may be, sometimes people think like being successful is about having all the money in the world. No, it's not. Being successful is being passionate what you love to do. And if you're the type of person that's just stuck and you don't want to do anything to become a better person, eventually, I think you're wasting your time with that person. So I'm coming to my sister Daniece. What are your thoughts on this topic?
I definitely where Cameron was talking about in that movie. I actually love that movie. And the thing is you definitely have to set a deadline, because people can go on and on about how they're changing and making changes, and they never make a change. So you definitely want to set that deadline. You definitely want to, like we were talking about, communication and just being open and honest about how you feel and what you want to accept. Because if you don't, then they're going to probably continue to keep doing those things that are hurting you or are not making those changes. So you definitely want to, just be honest and be specific about everything on your feelings. Also, I was saying you definitely want to make sure you get those deadlines going, because I'm being honest, like I gotta repeat that deadline. Deadlines. People will continue to keep telling you they're making changes, and also be supportive. Be supportive. Don't be a person that's always nagging, and always, be supportive. Say how you're going to be supportive. Write out, even if you have to write out or sit down and talk about the end goal. So you want to focus in on that end goal, I believe. So it won't just be, and be patient. Like Chaniera was saying, be patient and just focus in on that end goal. Don't be a nagger, be supportive, but also have those deadlines. So that's my opinion on it.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of critical. I mean, if you start looking at time as currency, you'll start spending it more wisely. That's sometimes, just to give you an analogy on that. My brother Carl, what is your insight on something like this? There's no motivation for them to change for the better.
Yeah, I just, some of that comes from the new term that's been out, running everybody does, know your worth, you know, and you got a lot of people running around here think they're worth $1 million and they're worth 5,000 pennies. And so, you know, just keeping it real, you know, they think, oh, well, I'm worth this, so I don't have to change. I'm perfect. I'm coming into the situation and know my stuff. So there's no motivation to drive the change because see, they've been goosed up in their head the whole time that there's nothing really wrong with them, whether it's from his homeboys or whether it's from her sister circle. It ain't you. So every time they go in a relationship and there's an issue, they're not the problem. They're not the problem. But and I've talked about it many times. If you get married 10 times and get divorced 10 times, the only common denominator is you. If every dude you dated cheated on you, when do you look in the mirror and say, why? If every woman takes you for your wallet, when does he look in the mirror and say, why am I attracting that? Why am I again, we don't control who we attract, we do control who we entertain. So why is this happening? But a lot of people don't, you know, they just like, oh, it ain't me. And they walk on and go to the next relationship and they bring the same thing. So there's no motivation to change and to not waste somebody's time because they feel like, oh, I'm it, you know, or I'm the prize. You know, I always say the relationship is the prize. It's not the man or the woman. It's a healthy relationship that makes the prize when you can get to that place. Not just a relationship, but a healthy relationship. But yeah, and I agree with something Daniece said. You know, you have to give deadlines, and I think we're fearful of giving a deadline for alienating our partner or our spouse.
True.
You know, as we're coming off unsupportive, or we're coming off being controlling, or we're coming off being aggressive. But why? You know, it's like I said, you know, when we talked about the application earlier, I know, Daniece, you don't want to fill the application out, don't want to sign it, but you know, it's a job. A relationship is a job. So why can't you have deadlines? You have deadlines on your job, or even if you're a business owner, you got deadlines for your business. You know, things that have to be done. So I mean, you know, co-own a logistics company. We got to get stuff delivered on time. You know, and like, so what's the difference? We got deadlines. It's got to be there. So why can't we give our partner or our spouse deadlines to fix something if they're saying they're going to do it? If they're not going to do it, that's a whole different story. But nah, I just you know, but like I said, I think a lot of it starts in the beginning. There are people going into relationships that think that they're perfect, or they don't have issues because they read some type of meme out there, and now they're you know, when the problem flares up, oh, it's his problem or it's her problem. They're the problem, not me. And they just don't, you know, and that's, you know, motivation comes from accountability.
True.
See, when I can take accountability, I can get motivated and do what I got to do. But if there's no accountability, what you motivated for? Or if they feel like you're not going to walk away. You know, you can't say, well, I'm going to walk away, and then you don't, you still there. I'm going to leave you, and you still sitting there. It's the last time. Yeah, okay. He or she gonna keep doing it until you finally say they come home and the house is half empty, you know, or their stuff is what was that? Thin line between love and hate when she threw stuff in the car and set it on fire. You know, when you it's motivation, you know, that you get motivated at that point. That's all I got on that.
Okay. Man, dropping bars after bars after bars. No, you a lot of things that you stated, Carl. You have a lot of valid points, you know, and I understand, like, with the whole dating application, you know, coming from that perspective, because it does seem like you want, you know, you're interviewing someone to be the most important person in your life. I mean, that's a very serious position to be in, right? And that shouldn't be taken lightly. I'm just going to come to a few comments right quick here.
From Naomi, she said, maybe folks just aren't compatible versus not being motivated to change.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because the next, and I'll come to the other comments here. So my follow-up question, and I'll come to you first, Cameryn. Do you feel that not having common goal is also a sign that you're wasting your time? You know, just not having any common goals whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to show up to the party, knowing why you're there. um, I'm gonna have to take some accountability on that one, but yeah, you unless you know why you're there leaves a lot of room for time to be wasted. You got it. There's got to be some kind of common thread there, something to build on. Otherwise, it's like, okay, let's see where this goes.
Very well said, my sister. Man. Yeah, I like this comment by Naomi a lot. So I'm coming to my sister, Chaniera. I mean, first I'll have you answer her question as well. She said maybe folks just are compatible versus not being motivated to change. I mean, do you agree with that assessment?
Yes, I definitely agree.
Common goals.
Yes, common end goals, and this is where the dating stage comes into place, because as you're getting to know first off, we have a lot of people that aren't taking the time to get to know each other and just jumping into relationships and jumping into whatever the case may be, and they're not actually taking that time to date and get to know the person and finding out what their end goals are.
Right.
That's something that you're supposed to talk about when getting to know the person. I
True.
feel as though chemistry is needed, but compatibility and knowing what you guys want in the long term, in the long run, if you're pursuing marriage, is needed, and that will also give you clarity if they are the person for you. And it will also tell you if they have motivation to change, because it will show you what type of person they are as you're getting to know them.
Okay. Yeah, very well said. And that, you're right, that should be discussed during the whole dating phase. Not that whole portion skips over and you're just going through a relationship with them, because it's kind of going backwards. Coming to my sister Daniece, I mean, no common end goals. Do you think that's a huge deal breaker, a sign that you may be wasting your time with that person?
I think it's a huge deal breaker. And again, not to get biblical, but to be equally yoked. I mean, you literally, you have to have pretty much the same, you want to lay that foundation. You want to make sure you have the same beliefs, like you're working towards a mutual goal. Like Mr. Carl said, the relationship is the prize. So if you're working towards a similar goal, you're working towards, similar beliefs and all of that, then you're going to get that prize. But, I'm not going to say it's impossible to do, but I will say it will be harder for you to do if you don't have similar goals, because you're working against each other versus working towards the same goals and together on something. So that's my opinion on that. But like, if you're a person that's into health, go get with somebody else that's into health. You're a person that believes in God, or I just think it works out better when you have similar core beliefs and foundation on similar things. Don't get with somebody, it makes it harder. They're going to be unmotivated. If you get with a person that want to eat fast food 24/7, and you're a person that wants to go eat keto and all of these things, so just try to get with somebody that has, like she was saying in the beginning stages, you find out about this person, and you make sure everything aligns, so you won't have those issues going down the line. So yeah, make sure you're equally yoked with that person.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very important. I mean, hell, if you're a Jehovah's Witness and the brother just into witchcraft, like Harry Potter stuff, I mean, it may not work. It may not work. I'm just keeping it real, brother watching all movies, doing the Ouija boards and everything like that. It may not work. It may not work. So before I come to my brother Carl, listen, we're gonna have some more comments right here. The next comment is, let's see. Talking about you, Carl.
I agree with your words, sir. I strongly believe that a healthy relationship is teamwork. Yeah,
Okay.
that was from who was it? Magdalena. Okay, go ahead. And that's from Rika Boogie. She said, "Hey Mel,
Hey, what's going on, Rika? Oh, welcome back, my sister. Appreciate you." Next one.
And goals are foundational for any success. Correct. That's from Tracy.
Very, very true. Okay.
And then from Naomi, yes, not having common relationship goals, etc., is a waste of time because when the sex gets old, then what?
Yeah, what do you do after that? Man.
Well,
and I'll take the last comment before I come back to you, Carl. Okay.
Magdalena, she said, let me correct myself. Both people need to work together in order for their relationship to grow. Work. Then if not, they're just wasting each other's time. And yes, chemistry and compatibility is crucial.
Yeah, shout out to the DBDS family. Carl, so what is your take and insight on you have no common end goals? Is that a huge deal breaker or a waste of time?
It really is. And before I touch on that, because I'm gonna tie it all in together. But I know a lot of people talk about chemistry, and I always say chemistry is so fecal because it can change. You know, if you ever been in a chemistry lab and you understand you mix two different things to change, you can change the chemical compound of something by adding something extra to it. So I always tell people, be careful. I always say compatibility is greater than chemistry because the chemistry will change. It'll change. Just like just like love is a choice. Some days you may not love that person, but if you like and respect that person, it makes it easier for you to love that person. So I always tell people you need to like and respect somebody in order to be able to be in a position to choose to love them with those types of things. So for me, that's part of those end goals for me. You know, I'm clear. In the very beginning, I'm just speaking for a man. I know exactly what I need from a woman in a relationship. I have it on my whiteboard. I have it laminated in my wallet. I can recite it on point. I know it because I did the work to put myself in that position, and I know what I need. So when I talk to a young lady, I can sit and say, "Hey, I'm dating with a purpose." Well, what is your purpose? My purpose is to get married. If she's like, "Well, I don't know if I want to get married," then we don't have to have any further conversation. We're done at that point in time. I don't need to, just like my partner would tell my business partner tell you, I'm king of cutoff. As soon as there's something that for me that I need, you can't meet, there's no need for us to continue. Let's try. There's no need to try because it's not who you are. And see, that's where people run into problems when you start compromising on your standards, your goals, your boundaries. When you start to compromise on those types of things to accept somebody, you are setting yourself up to die on that ride. That's what you're setting yourself up for. Eventually, you're going to end up falling off the motorcycle and die because it's going to happen. There's no way because you're forcing somebody to be something they're not. So, if somebody's, I'd say if the guy's a womanizer, people say, well, he can change. If he didn't change before, I've heard women say, well, if I marry him, he'll change. He's not going to change. He's got to go want to do the work and change. And it has to be consistent for years for that to happen. If it's a woman that has a high sex drive and one man doesn't satisfy her, she's not going to change because you married her. She's going to do the same thing when you're married. She's going to get bored. Just like I think Naomi was the one that made a comment, what do you do when the sex gets old? It really should never get old, but we can do a whole nother show and I can talk about that. But the sex shouldn't get old in a relationship.
I agree.
You just, hey, you got role play, you got, I ain't gonna go over there, but there's a lot of stuff that you can do to keep it spiced up and keep it rolling. So we got people need to stop using it as an excuse. You just, because you think about it, when somebody's out doing something with somebody else and they're supposed to be married, that stuff they should have been doing with this spouse. There's ways to keep it up and keep it creative. But I understand what she's saying when it gets old. that person's going to go out and do something horrible. So you got to have common goals. And to me, there's nothing wrong having that conversation early on, very early. Very early. I mean, maybe not the first date. Date number 2, we're gonna have a goal conversation. What's your goal? What's my goal? We ain't equally yoked. I appreciate you. Deuces. Next, and move on. I mean, it's no hard. It's no to me, because you're not wasting that time. You're not wasting their time, your time, and there's no love loss. You know, yeah, y'all might become friends, and that's cool, but there's no love loss, because now you get into a relationship and the opportunity to be friends is over. The friendship ends because the relationship ends on a bad note.
Woo! Feel like I'm watching Versus. All of you guys are dropping bars. Listen, Carl, even your mom's telling you better watch it. All right. And here's go to the next comment right quick before we go to
Naomi. She said, we got 47 days left in 2021. I'm not wasting time.
All right. Okay, my sister. All right. So we're gonna squeeze in one last topic. We appreciate the DBDS family as well as our panelists sticking around. This is an amazing topic to discuss. So sit tight. We'll be right back. Right. So welcome back to the DBDS Live. I'm here with my sister Cameryn, my sister Daniece, my sister Chaniera, and my DBDS brother Carl. And we just been chopping it up, talking about time is non-refundable. So we are going to hit on our last topic. And this is the very last one, which is pretty much makes sense right here that you are wasting your time. And that is you bring out the worst in each other. And man, if you're in a kind of relationship right now, to the people that's watching, that you're constantly crying every day, if it's you and that person against each other more than you and that person against the world, trust me, you're in the wrong relationship and you're definitely wasting your time. Okay. So first, I'm coming to my sister Daniece. What are your insights on this topic?
I definitely am going to piggyback off what Carl said for the last subject. Is basically, you know, you don't want to waste your time. If you know someone isn't the one for you, is bringing out the worst in you, you're just, you know, all around just not your best self. And that's with friendships, that's platonic relationships, that's with romantic, that's with anybody. If you aren't being your best self around whomever it is, then you need to go. You need peace is the ultimate goal. And if a person can't bring that and they're not bringing out the best in you, they're not, I mean, you still have to do the work yourself. So you can't put all of that on anybody else, but they should, you know, just push you, motivate you, speak life into you, just all around be a great person, be a plus for you, not a downfall. So if they can't do that for you, pretty much, you need to not be afraid to move forward and move on and go see somebody else. Like you were saying, you don't want to waste time with the zeros when your hero is out there waiting for you. You know, so just so know your worth, believe your worth, love yourself, and go find that guy or that woman that can, you know, love you just as much as you bring, you know, match your energy with how you feel and how you treat yourself. So that's my opinion on that.
Love that. And to my people, when we say know your worth doesn't mean that you're perfect. Know your worth simply means that there are things that you will tolerate and there are things you will not tolerate. That's what know your worth simply means. So I'm coming to my sister Cameryn. What are your insight on this topic that you bring out the worst in each other?
Well, I've always been about my peace, my PEACE, and my peace is monumental. I put it above everything, including relationships. And, just like Daniece said, not necessarily romantic relationships, but friendships as well. If it's getting to a point where, there's this something inside of me that wants to come out when I'm around you, like I really need to take a pause from this dynamic and figure out, is this more about you or is this about me? And if, whatever it is, I don't like how I'm coming across in this dynamic. So I need to pull back and assess. I'm one, I will take a hard look in the mirror. I'm not, real quick to say, oh, it's their fault, they're doing this to me. But, if the relationship is bringing something out of me that is toxic, if the only language that we speak is that of toxicity, that's not the dynamic or the relationship for me. And I will quickly make a beeline for the exit.
Facts. And I'll say this just to piggyback off of Cameryn, to the social media world out there, just keep in mind you are being interviewed. So if you're the type of person that's very combative, just based on somebody else's opinions and you don't respect their opinion and so forth, you can imagine that they don't want to be, give you the time of day to get to know you because they think in a relationship that's how you're going to be. You're going to bring out the worst in that person if you're very combative or you can't even take a disagreement at all. And you're just ready to attack. Nobody don't have time for that, Coming to my sister Chaniera, what are your insights on this?
I agree. I agree with the other panelists. Peace is very important in my life as well. And I feel as though if a person is taking you out of your element and your level of growth, you have to just reevaluate things and look at, well, me personally, I have to look at it as, is this what God wants for my life? Because I know where I've been in life and I know how far I've came with my growth. So if it's taking me back, I know that's not where I'm supposed to be. And it has to be removed. If you are in a situation where it's bringing out the worst in you, say if you're in a relationship for 5+ years, you got to look at it as, is this something you want to deal with for another 5 years?
That's deep.
If it's not adding value, and value is not always financial, but if it's not adding value to your life, reevaluate it and remove it.
Well said. Yeah, it's a huge deal breaker, especially if you come across someone that's bringing you out of your element, and that's huge. Before I come to you, Carl, I'm just gonna pull up a quick comment right here.
From them, she said, trauma bonding early in a relationship creates toxic partnerships.
Yeah, very well said. Yes. So from a man's perspective, what are your thoughts on this, Carl?
Yeah, I to me, if somebody's bringing you out of character of who you are, and you've done this work, if that person's bringing you out of character, that's not the person you need to be around. It's unfortunate. Sometimes we have to deal with certain people, and when we have to, whatever situation may be co-parenting or work or whatever, so we do a lot of praying. I know I do a lot of praying if I deal with certain people, because I don't want to come out of character, because I feel bad about myself that I let myself down for coming out of character, if that makes sense. So to me, if somebody's bringing out the worst in me, which means taking me out of character, I can't be around a person like that. I'm wasting my time, and I'm wasting your time, because I already see that you're not meant to, we're not meant to be. And again, like Naomi talked about, that trauma bonding is real, and it exists, and you got to be careful. And that's why you got to ask those qualifying questions. You gotta figure out what people, open-ended questions, not a yes, no. Anybody can say yes, anybody can say no, but you gotta ask open-ended questions and see where somebody's really at. I ask, what, I know some people, it's nosy to ask somebody why their last relationship ended. No, the hell it's not. I'm sorry, excuse me. Why did your last relationship end? There's nothing wrong with that. Because then my next question has to be, well, what did you do during that process between then and now? What have you done? What have you done to heal? What have you done to get yourself in this position? Because I don't need you blaming me for what he did and bringing the worst out of me. Because you haven't gotten yourself in a place to date at this point in time. And I think, again, I think a lot of people I said it before, are just worried about looking like a bad person for asking certain things. I believe there's certain questions you don't ask, but there are questions that you do need to ask, because if you don't, you're just setting yourself up, like I said, again, to get thrown off the back of the motorcycle.
Well said. And we don't want that to happen to anyone. That's what the platform is about. That's what the group is about. The love of my life, April, that the love that I have, I wish everyone can experience a relationship like that. That's the purpose of what DBDS is all about, for everyone to have healthy relationships. I truly believe, from a biblical standpoint, no one was created to be single for the rest of their lives at all. I do not believe that at all. Listen, I'm going to pull up a quick comment right here from Lucy.
From Lucy Lulu. She said, pay attention to the red flags. I noticed this person and I were just arguing, and I'm not a person who will do such. I love my peace, so I told that person real quick, I'm not going there anymore in this stage of my life. Absolutely.
All right, well, I'm going to leave her comment up there, because I see this a lot on social media. I'm going to be honest. I'll come to my sister Cameryn. Now, do you think it's a huge deal breaker if you see someone on social media that's very combative and always going back and forth and so forth? And they looking for a relationship and they DMing you, will you give that person the time of day?
No, I would not. Because your social media has become our avatar, so to speak, basically. I know a lot of us out there post and, try to fluff things up.
True.
But you look hard enough, you'll find the real person in there, and I agree with Lucy. It's like, I'm not going there with you. Like, you can have fun with that. That's an energy you resonate with. Negativity. I'm not feeding that monster. No, feeding that monster doesn't feel good to me. I like feeding the positive monster. I like feeding the monster that loves me back, that, gives just as much as I do. That's the monster.
I threw that grenade quick. Go ahead. I'm going to throw another one.
You know what? I want to add, because, when we're talking about energy and monsters, there are people out there that it's their goal to find buttons in people, and push those buttons and, try to control and manipulate like a puppet, because at the end of the day, we're all showing up with a pattern and a blueprint of love based on what we saw growing up, whether that was in our household, around our household, like all these images and downloads of what we've known love to be. And over the course of time, it's played out in our relationships. However, if those patterns were negative in any kind of way, and we like woke up and was like, hey, wait a minute, hold up. I'm the common, like Carl said, the common denominator. I'm the common denominator here. Well, why is that? Well, what do I want? What do I have to do differently in order to get what I want? Not where I came from, because look what that's gotten me so far. I want something different. Oh, I got it. I need to change.
Ooh, man. My sisters are tearing down the studio. Very well said. Yeah. Same question. I'll come to you, Chaniera. I mean, you see a lot of people these days arguing back and forth. What mind boggles me is that a brother or a sister will say that they're looking for a relationship, and then you see how they behave on social media with the constant disagreements and the attacks and everything like that. And you don't see it. It goes over their heads as to that may be why you're single, but will you give, is that a deal breaker for you, how they approach or act on social media?
Absolutely. And I feel as though, like Lucy said, you got to pay attention, because there's a difference between debating and taking things personal. And I feel as though a lot of people, you know, when they take things personal, it comes off argumentative. And if that is the case, that is some healing that needs to take place. And you shouldn't be giving advice unless you have that full capacity of the healing and that part that you're not fully healed from. But yeah, those red flags, I see it all the time on social media. And even with that type of stuff, like once I start seeing comments like that, I can't personally even read the rest of it, because I'm just like, that's going to mess up my element, my peace. And I just let it go. But I feel as though a lot of people don't know how to have positive debates or not arguments, but positive debates, or give opinion on things without taking it personal.
Okay. Now, I like how you said that, because when we discussed this before, you know, having a mind of your own and having a positive debate, my sisters clearly stated that's very attractive. There's a difference between having a debate, speaking your mind, versus doing an angry emoji, going underneath somebody's comment and say, like, I disagree with you in all caps, and then you know, and you're looking for a relationship. How do you expect to attract your natural counterpart? I'm coming to you, Daniece. Is that a huge deal breaker?
It's definitely a deal breaker for me, because it shows that you can't respect other people's opinion. You do not listen. Because we can agree to disagree all day long, but it's really not what you say, but how you say it. And you don't have to, you know, down people, belittle people just because we have a difference of opinion. You can just still respect and have, you know, a difference of opinion or whatever it is. But just disrespecting women or people in general because they may have a difference of opinion, I don't agree with. You know, so it definitely shows your character, in my opinion. And you carry that off Facebook. You're doing
That's
it
true.
on Facebook more free, but you carry that same. If we were in a conversation, if we were talking about something, it could be something small. I guarantee you the same type of character you are on Facebook, you're doing in person as well. So, and probably with a little bit more bass in your voice. So, yeah, so it's definitely a red flag for me. Bunch of red flags.
See, I'm old school, man. Don't be like that man from what's his name, from Do the Right Thing. Don't be like Mookie. You know, Mookie was wilding out. The one with the dreads, always angry all the time, pissed off. Don't be a Mookie, you know. So listen, I'm coming to my brother Carl. What are your insights on this topic, man?
I'm gonna put some more bass in my voice since Daniece don't carry bass out. But no, to me, yeah, it's a complete turn off for me. I'll tell somebody in a heartbeat. It is, and even the men that I coach, we talk about this a lot of times in sessions. And you know, I had one guy. He's like, "Man, she was drop dead gorgeous. he's like, I went to her Facebook page and I was like, oh man, this is the one. And he said, then he watched this whole conversation that went on in the group. And he was just like, I mean, she was just tearing men down. And he's like, so how do you say you want a relationship, but you're tearing men down? And that's why I tell people, be conscious of what you're saying. Again, the true you is going to come out. So I don't care if you want to watch this show and then change how you try to respond. The true you is going to eventually rise. You know, they say cream rise to the top. Your BS is going to rise to the top eventually at some point in time. So, but that's the reality. When I look at it and I'm like, you know, just the competitive nature back and forth or constantly deflecting, you know.
I can't stand it.
And again, I'm speaking from a man's perspective. This is not, I know it goes both ways, but from a man, if I constantly see a woman, men do that. And this, and I'm just like, that wasn't a conversation we were having. We were addressing something. Can we stay on task? Because that to me tells me if we're having a conversation or trying to discuss something, you're already ready to deflect and go someplace else. You know, I don't know, you know, I can't be with someone that's automatically going to, you know, well, what about you? Why aren't you going to change? You know, there was a meme. It was actually, oh man, it was really funny. And the girl was like, you know, I need you to do this. I need you to change and do this. I need you to change and do that. It was like 10 things. And the guy said, okay, I'll do that. He said, but can you change this one thing? And she was like, I'm perfect. I'm not changing. It's just, you know, and it was absolutely hilarious. You know, you read the meme, you're looking at it, but that's, you know, that's what we see on social media. And there's a lot of people, like you said, healthy debates are great. Other people's opinions is great because it shows different ways. And again, sometimes it makes me think, and I'm like, let me take a step back. Even if I don't agree with it, it gives me something else to think about, maybe look up, research, or go through. But yes, if I see somebody and it's just every time they comment, they're blaming the opposite sex. How do you blame what you want? If you're a guy and you want to be in a relationship, but you blame women for everything, how can you be in a healthy relationship? And then if you're constantly blaming men, you know, if I see you say, well, all men cheat, then why do you say you want a relationship? How can you even envision having one? Because you're just waiting for him to cheat.
I see what you're saying.
And the moment he does something that looks like he's cheating, he's not. You sabotage the relationship with that. So yeah, I think that's a tough thing for a lot of people. You got to see those flags. You got to have those conversations. But yeah, I'm with Lucy too on that. My peace is too important, and it has taken me a long time to understand my peace, to appreciate my peace, and if you mess with my peace, might have a military flashback. You know, I still got a little PTSD sitting there, so you might catch a little PTSD on that one. So I just it takes a long. I have a lot of patience. That's one thing everybody's always said, and so it was actually a disservice to me because I had so much peace. I had so much patience. I didn't realize my peace had been taken away because of my patience. Now I understand my peace, and I don't care how fine she is, how great she is. If she meets everything on a 10, if she messes with my peace, I'm gonna drop a grenade like you do, Mel.
Oh. Valid points, man. You know, even some of the sisters I talk to that are single mothers and they have sons, they would tell their sons to stay away from women like that. That's very combative, which I salute them wholeheartedly. And then some brothers out there that are great fathers to their daughters, they would tell their daughters to stay away from a man that's very combative and can't control his emotions. So I see the people that are very mindful, and I salute them for that. You know what I'm saying? Like I just give them mad props for that. So we're going to go ahead and take one last commercial break. When we come back, it is about that time for the Jerry Springer moment. We will find out who the baby daddy. Nah, I'm just playing. Come back. We're going to summarize the show. This is DBDS Live. Sit tight. Hey, welcome back to DBDS Live. I'm here with my sister Daniece, my sister Chaniera, my DBDS sister moderator Cameryn, and my DBDS brother Carl. And it's been nothing but gems, nothing but fire. Great show. We're talking about time is non-refundable. Listen, just make sure if you want to rewatch this episode or you want to catch another one of our fiery episodes, make sure you tune in to our platform, which is Amazon, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Also, we're available on our DBDS channel, which you can also subscribe to. This right here is the link. This was to our last show, the DBDS Takeover, which will have a Takeover Part 2 this Sunday coming up. So this way you can continue to get these great episodes with these amazing guests blessing us with their wisdom. So now it's about that time for our Jerry Springer moment where we share our final thoughts for today's show. So first, I am coming to my sister Chaniera. Give the people who's watching your final thoughts for today's show.
I would just like to say that we cannot take back time, so time is something that you have to, time is very precious, basically. It's a precious jewel. And just take the time to get to know a person. And set out those boundaries that you want in a relationship and from the beginning, because time is not something that you can get back. And if you don't set those boundaries, you're going to put yourself in a situation where you're compromising and it's going to lead to other things. So take the time to get to know the person, ask those questions that you need in the beginning, and stand to your boundaries. First thing first.
Very well said. Love what you stated. Time is precious. Very well said. Coming to my sister Daniece, what are your final thoughts for today's show?
Say it with some bass in your voice. No, I'm kidding. But time is definitely and you definitely want to get with someone that brings out the best in you. Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, there you go. There you go. He's breaking up a little.
Oh, okay.
All right, go ahead, my sister.
Oh, okay. I was saying, okay, time is definitely of the essence. You definitely want to get with somebody that brings out the best in you. Put your best foot forward. Continue to do the work on yourself. I don't think we're ever done doing the work on ourselves. So just continue to keep doing that work. Get with somebody else that's ambitious, that want to continue to keep growing with you, because it's an ongoing process. And love and be free and be open. And all of that negativity and all of that other stuff, just let it go. Just peace, just concentrate on being your best self and being at peace. And that's all I can give you, but definitely put your time first. You have to value your time for other people can value it. So definitely time is of the essence. So make sure you keep that in front of your mind. Stay focused.
Oh, thank you for blessing us with those nuggets. Very well said. Coming to my DBDS sister Cameryn. Man, phenomenal show. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
Yeah, tonight's been awesome. I just want to say, while time is non-refundable, if we approach relationships with healthy boundaries designed to give us real-time feedback on what is and what is not serving us, growing us, and loving us, the only L's we're going to walk away with are lessons.
Fire. Very well, powerful, very well said. And my brother, Carl, man, the awesome show, man, like always, man. What are your final thoughts for today's show?
Again, a phenomenal show. My sister's awesome as usual. I agree with everything they said, pretty much summed up most of it. To me, I tell people, in your singleness is the time to do the work. That way you don't waste time when you get in a relationship. You hear a lot of people say, well, I'll do this when I get in a relationship. You can't turn that switch on. You have to, as my friend said, you got to practice that before you get in there. the Bible says a man that finds a wife finds a good thing. How can he find a wife if you're not even showing traits of a wife? And how are you as a man going to be able to see a wife unless you're a husband? So you can't see the traits and you can't be the traits if you're not practicing those in that atmosphere to begin with. So this is the time to do that. While you're waiting to be women, while you're waiting to be discovered, this is the time to work on yourself. Men, while you're out searching and hunting, this is the time to work. That way you don't waste valuable time when you get there, because you'll be able to see the signs that say, this isn't the right one. You're not wasting precious time that we can't get back. Tomorrow's not promised to begin with. So why waste these 24 hours with someone who is not adding value to you? Why would you spend that kind of time with an individual like that? Why waste time with someone who is tearing you down or is draining you dry and doesn't even have the capacity to pour back into you at all? And so now you have to go back and take time to refill yourself, which is wasting time for the next person. And the right person might be walking right in front of you, but because you're drained, you don't have the capacity to pour into them and even work with them. So value your time. It's like I said, it's the one commodity. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Man, very well said. Man, powerful. And before I provide you with my final thoughts, everyone, listen, I just want to thank this amazing panel. As always, we always have the amazing guests, but their family slated today. My final thoughts is that, we all go through storms in our relationships, but it all depends on what kind of storms you're willing to go through.
Yes.
And if it's based on some of the topics we touch on today, then you're definitely wasting your time. For example, if you're trying to motivate someone to change for the better, but they're unwilling to do the work, or it's sort of like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. It's not going to work. So the point is, you must learn to identify the red flags, because time is valuable. And when it comes to a healthy relationship, you don't get what you're worth. You get what you demand. All right. So once again, I want to thank this amazing panel, and much love to the DBDS family.
Take it away, Mel.